Hey YouTube, do you want to be the Jeff Bezos of New World? Not the CEO, but really rich? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how. The first method to become super rich in New World is through cooking ingredients. This may sound silly, but listen, provisions crates have these items that only come in provisions crates. They're like apple, orange, onion. Those type of ingredients are really hard to get, and they are going to go for a lot of money on the auction house. Because nobody's going to want to farm them. Nobody's going to want to run through towns, fight bad guys, look for the rare provisions crate or provision stockpile, and half the time not get what they want. So if you can get those and sell it, then you're going to make a lot of money. The next thing you can do with cooking ingredients is relocating crops. So mostly in Monarch's Bluff, Windsward, and Everfall, there's multiple different crops, mostly cabbage, corn, carrots, barley, broccoli, and there's a few others that are in those three areas. Those are the ones, there's some areas that have more than others. And specifically, I can think of there's barley in Monarch's Bluff, and I'm not sure if there's any in Windsward. Off the top of my head, there's not. But relocating that barley to Windsward is going to be super valuable. In the closed beta, I was looking for corn, and I think it was going for 20 gold for just one piece of corn. And there's even corn in Windsward. I ended up buying some, yes, but it was the closed beta, and I had gold to spend. The final method with cooking ingredients is the ingredients you get from herbs. So I came up with this theory. I tested it out somewhat. I didn't get to the high level zones because I only got to level 40 in the closed beta, but each zone only has 3 ingredients that you can get. So 3 ingredients from Monarch's Bluff, 3 from Windsward, 3 from Everfall. And I think each zone has only 3 you can get. Sometimes they do overlap, but in most zones, there's 1 new ingredient or 2 new ingredients that you can get. The second method for making money is going to be through iron. Iron is going to be something that holds its value through practically the whole time the game is going to be out. As long as there's new people coming into the game, iron is going to be valuable. It's used in leveling and crafting, and those two things do coincide. So for leveling, people either want to make better items, so they're going to need iron. They're going to want to make the iron armaments and the iron weapons for the town board quest. That requires iron. And the most efficient way you're going to be able to get iron is to try to go to New World maps and find a little route that you can get. One that where you can start when you're done with the last iron node on that route, the first one's going to be back up. If you can get a consistent route and you're going to be there before anybody else, that's going to be your best bet. I'll throw up a couple rough routes that I just drew up, but my specific route I remember was in Windsward, and it was right outside the west of the town, and I would go up, it was like a parkouring up rocks, but you could consistently get multiple nodes from 2 different spots and then jump down into like the starting zone for wolves that they have you put your camp at, and then there was 2 more nodes sections in each of those little spots. Before we get to the rest of them, it would mean a lot if you would hit that like button and let me know in the comments how you're going to make gold. Next is going to be potions. Potions are going to be super easy to make, but be able to give you a decent amount of money. If there's people PvPing on your server, they're going to want potions so that they can stay alive longer and have an advantage over their opponents. Also, people who don't want to die are people who are questing, and you never know, sometimes those bears in those caves hit pretty hard. Along with people who don't want to die, you can also turn in potions to the town board, and that can give you quick and easy experience. Like most things in this guide, it's going to scale with how high your profession skill is. So let's say your Arcana skill gets higher, and you can make those strong potions, those common potions, you're going to be able to charge even more. Those give better buffs, but they also get turned in for more at the town boards. A tip I have for leveling your Arcana skill is going to be crafting the staves. It's going to be hard, but you can also craft the gauntlet. They all require around the same resources. I think it's just a different moat that they require, but I think they give 276 experience. This is going to be much easier than making the weak potions and trying to level up, because those only give you 3. The next is going to be through engineering. The hatchet, the spear, the bow, the musket, and the rapier are all crafted through engineering. Initially, when I was leveling up, I used all of those weapons specifically, and for some reason I didn't use any that required regular weaponsmithing. And I consistently found myself not having high enough engineering to craft the better weapons. So getting those quick levels in engineering and being able to craft those first or second level weapons of each of those categories is going to be easy money you can make. The way that I eventually figured out how to level your engineering quickly is to just craft the iron arrows. It requires iron, feathers, and timber. Those ingredients aren't too hard to get, so you can craft them in mass amounts. And you can sell the arrows if you want. When I made it, the arrows were really only selling for 0.1, so I would make like 10 gold profit, but I mean all the gold counts. Along with engineering, you also get the ability to make the tools. And the iron tools are going to sell quickly, because some people don't want to get the stuff to make the iron tools, and some people don't know how to make the iron tools. I remember the iron tools selling like hotcakes when the closed beta first came out, and then everyone realized that they could just make them. So it's probably going to be the same when the game releases. Once you get to the steel tools, that's where you can really start charging a lot of money for them. Not many people are going to have their engineering skill high enough to make the steel tools. And if you throw some Azoth on it and get a better gathering rate, those are going to go for upwards of 500 to 600 gold. One thing I want to touch on that everyone says in their gold making guides is that the bags are going to be a good method, but something to consider is that you have to have the minor rune and the major rune to make those 2 early bags. And those themselves are expensive in gold and in faction points. You can do it, you just have to make sure that you're getting enough compensation through gold to cover both of those things that you're spending to make it. The final method is going to be through stone cutting. And initially stone cutting doesn't sound like anything, but once you get to the gems and the orbs, that's where the real money comes in. Everyone is going to use gems. Gems give your gear special attributes, so people can put them in their weapons and their armor. The early ones might just sell for cheap, but if you get an early jump on the market, you can choose the price. And I think the real money for stone cutting comes with the orbs. The orbs are used for entering dungeons, and they're kind of hard to make, but if you can get the resources, the prices are going to be through the roof. All dungeons require an orb, so even with the Amrine expedition, those require an orb as well. People are going to be wanting those orbs so that they can run through the dungeons to get the gear and the experience. A couple final things I just want to touch on are gear that gets dropped. You really don't want to sell that on the market unless it's a good matchup with the attributes and what kind of gear it is. So let's say high intellect on a light armor or a high strength on a heavy armor. It depends on people's builds, but those are usually how they go together. But mainly it's going to be worth it to just salvage it and get those repair points. And finally, an old MMO tactic is just to flip the market, to find something that there's not a lot of and then buy it all out and then sell it for more. Once you control that market, the price is whatever you want it to be. Just keep it reasonable enough that people will still buy it. If you found this guide useful, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can catch more helpful guides in the future.